if we have Antonio on. Not something I'm getting into.
Is live.
Let's talk Jaws live, baby. You're gonna need a bigger boat.
All right, guys. Hold on a second here. Just got to hit the right button. There we go. Whoa. Hey, there we are. Wow. Back at you. Hello. Back at it. Thursday night. Back for another glorious Thursday night. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Can't complain.
Yeah? Everyone's surviving, hanging in there. You gearing up for the weekend? Janie, surviving?
I'm barely surviving. It's been a tough week, but it's okay. It'll pass. I'm ready for cooler weather. I am ready.
Oh, it's cooler here.
I am ready for fall weather.
It is like fall wet. Like a day and a half ago, it set in. Oh, like 50, like it's like 50 degrees at night, high 40s. I am loving it. Like 72 during the day.
Listen, I've got a pair of fall boots that is crying my name right now, and I can't wear it because it's too flipping hot.
Yeah, it's going to get warm again here in the New York area on this weekend. They're going to be in the 80s, but then it'll be before you know it.
That's how it is right now. It's like
it'll be snowing. They're going to shovel that stuff.
Yeah, the older I get, yeah. I don't mind snow. What I mind is being stuck inside. That just drives me bonkers. That's what I mind.
No, you got to watch when you're stuck inside. Throw Jaws on. I can't tell you how many times I throw it on, like when I'm doing stuff around the house, just to try to catch something new, just to see something different. And I just lately have been finding myself just looking in the background, trying to see anything, how the background characters are acting, if there's any, and it's surprising how many things you notice that I never noticed before.
Honestly, that's what I look for now when I watch it. I truly do. I watch everything going on in the background. It's all those little idiosyncrasies. The first time that you saw Roy Scheider in the town hall drop down below the table and put his hand up to let Quentin know that it was his cue to start, I was blown away by it.
I don't know if I ever saw that.
I have never seen that. I've seen the pictures. I have never seen it in the film.
Wait, it's in the film? I got to look for that. Just a couple of years ago, for the first time, I noticed the tiger shark scene when Hooper's talking to them. They're all ganging up on the guy, and the guy behind him is blowing in his ear.
He blows down his neck.
He goes like that.
And the way he just went, that was great little moment. I bet you that was off the cuff too. Great little moments. Oh, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it looks like that I believe I am broadcasting on my page and sharing it over to both of our pages. So
you are.
Yay.
Can somebody?
Jamie's here.
That's
hey, Jamie.
Awesome. Listen, that gets rid of a huge headache.
The back in
the day. No, I put it over to both Jaws pages only. Yeah, because we've been having nothing but issues.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're on the Let's Talk Jaws live page, and it is posting also on the Jaws 50.
Awesome.
And I'm on your page.
And on yours.
4 places.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, I've been feeling absolutely terrible because here we are, Let's Talk Jaws Live, and I haven't been able to post for off and on for a couple of weeks on the Let's Talk Jaws Live page. So we're like, well, what is going on? Part of it is my ability or inability, with some of the technology at times.
Wait a minute.
I've been trying to figure out a way around it, so I'm hoping it's working.
Wait a minute.
It should. Well,
it's not showing tonight's episode.
It's not.
No. It's showing the trivia from last night or last week.
Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for the live to go live after we go live.
Okay. Yeah, because I shared our literally the live show that's on my page. That's what I shared.
Okay, so the one right now on Let's Talk Jaws Live is going. So we're good there. So let's try this one again. Refresh.
Check Jaws 50 as well. You guys at home, I apologize. Thank you for your patience. We're unfortunately trying to fix something here, and we're doing it live. I apologize. The only time that I can do it. So I do apologize, but we do have a couple people. So Jamie Sanders is watching us over my page. Hello, Jamie. Hope you're doing pretty good, brother. Good to hear from you. And we got Robert joining us. Hello, Robert. And we got Claudia joining us. GI Customer Service. Claudia, question for you. Did you get paid?
No, she did not.
I need to know. Did you get paid?
No. But you know what she did? She says, "Ma'am, I am not allowed to talk to you unless I have legal representation with me."
That's incredible.
What you got there, Michael, in your hand? What do you got there? I see something.
State of Minnesota lottery tickets.
Oh.
Nice.
Minnesota's doing it now? Really?
Yeah. I thought I gave you guys some up on the vineyard.
You gave me some. I thought they were. I thought it was Missouri. It was Minnesota.
Missouri, Minnesota, Florida.
Yeah, you gave me a couple.
Yeah.
That's Mass. That's the Mass ticket. Yeah.
Yeah, and I still have it. And you know what? I brought it with me but we never got together to scratch it when I was there.
That's all right. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you can scan it.
All the millions have been claimed. I think all the millions have been claimed, so I'm not going to scratch the ones names.
Well, then if that's the case, then I'm just going to keep it. I'm just going to,
Might as well, I still have a handful of them that are unscratched. So, I mean, I just bought a bunch and just started sending them out to people. So, yeah.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Here's a lottery card that's not going to win anything, but here you go.
Well, I think it's still going on, though, the lottery. I think they run out of tickets every 6 months.
Yeah, good through the end of the year, I think, right?
Yeah.
The Massachusetts one?
Yeah. And Missouri.
Oh, okay.
We did get a response. No, she said tonight would be double or nothing with the money. Well, Claudia, you got taken because we're not doing trivia tonight. So, man, you got taken for a ride.
I will say this. I told her, I said, we're not doing trivia tonight. I said, we're talking about Peter Benchley. And she said, and I quote, she's happy that I've got her hooked onto this because she gets to learn something different every time we do a show. And that's the whole purpose of this. Besides to have fun, There you go.
And we got James Goss hanging out with us tonight. So thanks, James.
Hey, bud.
Yeah, very cool. Very nice. Well, guys, tonight is part one of a two-part shows that we're going to be doing, and it's going to be based on the Benchleys. Tonight we're going to be talking about Peter Benchley. So a little homage, little ode to Peter Benchley tonight. So it'll be a perfectly fitting topic for tonight, and we're all going to kind of divide and conquer, and hopefully have a little fun talking about the life and times of the man and the reason why we're all here. So
correct.
Get into it and have some fun. And it's very easy to go down rabbit holes on people. And I found there's certain things you could come across and find a lot of examples of with him. And there were some things that were really hard to kind of track down and find out about him. Very hard. So just really interesting. But honestly, I think half the time it's the fun of it is the chase of trying to track down information and come across some interesting interviews. The interview that I sent you guys, did you happen to watch the first couple of minutes of that at all? Did you get a chance?
I did, yeah.
Oh my gosh, the first 5 minutes, I'm like, wow, really, he had a pretty fun, animated kind of side to him that I did. Unfortunately, I feel like at times a lot of us didn't get a chance to see. So, but yeah, Peter Benchley. All right. Well, let me I guess I'll hit on a little bit. So some of his early life, Peter Benchley. I know a lot of us know quite a bit about Peter Benchley. It's someone who is very important to us, but very interesting. Not even before he was born, his entire family. So you go back to the generations of his family members, and they were writers, they were actors. I mean, they did. I mean, they really had their hand in the arts, and were very, from what I could tell, did very well at what they did. And so he just kind of fell into play. I mean, even his brother. I mean, same thing. And his grandfather, his grandfather's work, his father's work, and things. Still to this day, it's very relevant. Very easy to kind of track down information on Robert, his grandfather, and Nathaniel, his father. And he grew up in the Northeast. Yeah. What's that?
I think it's vice versa. I think his dad was Robert.
Yeah, Robert. Okay. Maybe his grandfather was Nathaniel then. And
Nathaniel's such a New England name, isn't it? It's like you hear
it really is.
You think like boaters and whaling in the 18th century. That's a great name.
Yeah, that's definitely probably right from the UK. I would assume. My first name's not even Nathaniel; it's just Nathan. I always joke that I'm not quite that British. It's not, you know what I mean. I'm the holdover in Pennsylvania, so we go by Nader
from now on. That's all.
When I was a little kid, the older people would call me Nat, and it used to drive me nuts. But it was a nickname at the time too. So yeah. But anyway,
that's your own beer, though, right? Natty Bo.
Natty Bo. It's not my beer. Trust me. It's not. If they might sell it in Pennsylvania, that's not my beer. Yeah. That's the beer that you use when you're rinsing out your glass in between other types of beers. That's another one. You know when you spill something out on the driveway, and you want to clean it off. That's what you use a Natty Bo for. So just saying.
That's the pride of Baltimore. Get an Natty Bo, hon. Yeah.
And they're still selling it here. It's all over the place. I do have a friend who will still, that's one of those you can get like that 30-pack. It looks like an old Coleman cooler with a handle in the top of it. You know what I mean? They just come walking out with a permanent limp from every Friday, grabbing a 30-pack of that on their way out the door. But yeah. So Peter Benchley obviously grew up, northern New Jersey, and spent time in New York City. Went to some very, very prestigious high schools. Obviously, very well educated, well-rounded kind of guy. College-wise, spent time at Harvard, and some other schools as well. So very well educated, very well-read background. But they spent their summers up in Nantucket. That's what they did. And his family lineage, that he has family members that are buried on Prospect Hill over in Nantucket. So it's something I've been around. Which, when I think about it, I think of, wow, really? But they would go to Nantucket, but because I think about myself being here in Pennsylvania, and people I talk to have no idea anything about Martha's Vineyard, other than maybe the fact that you're me talking about the Jaws connection. So the fact that they were, spent a lot of time up in Nantucket, it first struck me kind of weird. I thought, well, no, really, I guess not. It's fairly far north New Jersey, not too far from New York, and it definitely, you get your influx of New Yorkers up around that way as well, between there and, off of we have Montauk and all of those places. So really not as far removed as what I thought. And I came across some really interesting information about him, about how he kind of worked his way into the United States government, because that's what he did. He was a writer for Lyndon B. Johnson back in the 60s. And I watched an interview on him. In fact, it was the one I was telling you guys about. And he said that he got hired under the premise that they apparently thought, I think it was his father or his grandfather was the editor of the magazine of the New Yorker. And LBJ was trying to kind of win the hearts of some of the liberals in the Northeast, to help his cause. And so when he heard that, he decided to hire him, thinking that he would maybe get some clout or be able to kind of, make a connection with the group of people that he didn't otherwise have a connection to. And he so humbly said, "Well, he didn't hire me because I was good enough. I was inept at my job." And I mean, obviously, there had to be some more admirable traits there because he did quite a few things leading, going into that. But they hired him for that, and he told this really funny story. He said that he got the job and he got hired, and he was supposed to go. He was going in, and he had only met the president like once or twice. He said he was having some rough day getting to work. He said he tore a hole in his trousers, and he walks in, and the secretary said, "You need to get in there. LBJ is in the bedroom, and he wants to talk to you now." And he's saying, "I can't go in there. This is going to work." He said, "You don't understand. I ripped a hole in my pants." She said, or he said, "My first experience meeting LBJ was 5 minutes before the secretary said to me, 'Take off your pants.'" And he said, "I looked at her dumbfounded, but I took my pants off." And she took my pants, laid them on the table, and took the stapler and went, stapled them on, and sent me into LBJ's bedroom to talk to him about my next speech. So
in Staples.
in Staples, I thought, holy cow, that's a story that you can't make up. But yeah, so he worked for LBJ as a writer, and he said that LBJ was very scripted. He told him he wanted 4-page speeches. He wanted 4 pages. He said every paragraph had to have 4 sentences, and he wanted 4 paragraphs per page. He said, and that's the way it had to be laid out, and that's what he had to do. And so it was, really, really interesting insight on, working for the government, I thought. And, right before that, he wrote a fictional story called Q Clearance. Are you guys familiar with that at all? I was not. It was a fictional story, but it was based on a job he had. I want to say it was after he was TV editor for Newsweek TV before he got into the government. And he wrote a fictional story called Q Clearance, but it was based on a job that he had where he did something in media, but it was with the Nuclear Power Source Association, I believe was the name of it. And they gave him Q Clearance, which is the highest clearance in the country for these nuclear plants. And it blew him away that they gave him this clearance, yet he never stepped foot in one of the places. Yeah, they did it because
it was inspired by him being a speechwriter for LBJ, right? The Q Clearance.
It was around that time, but if he had the actual clearance, he said he thought it was so absurd and preposterous, if I'm not mistaken, that's why he wrote that fictional story. It was based on that actual situation. And so,
especially for a citizen, actually, if you think about it, going into that, because we have, Y12 right here in Knoxville, and security is tight. I mean, what I hear from guys, they cannot have their cell phones. They can't have anything. So to have a speechwriter go in there is not heard of at all.
Yeah.
At that time anyway, especially, with Johnson.
Sure. Yeah. And it just, it's a bit of a side of him I don't ever hear about, because of course everything we hear about is very much in the world of Jaws and Jaws Laden. And we know that Nantucket was his, kind of his background with sharks. And I did grab a quick clip of old Geraldo interview from '74. He talks about his interest and what sparked his interest in sharks that led to Jaws. So let me pull that in here for us real quick, guys.
Together. I was a kid in Nantucket, and we would go fishing. Once a year, my father said he'd spring for one day fishing for swordfish. And swordfish were as rare then as they are now. And we'd go out and look for swordfish and catch none, but we'd see the sharks littering the ocean. And we began to catch them. For lack of anything else, you pay $100 a day once a year, you might as well catch something. And so we started catching sharks, and I got fascinated with the length of time it took them to die and the way they behaved and the general air of primitive malice or malevolence, I guess, that surrounded them. And I read as much as I could about them and learned a lot.
I read the book last summer. I happened to be out on the eastern end of Long Island where the book is approximately set, and it was a scary thing to read it on the beach, and I guess that's where a lot of people out there were reading. But I don't know anything about sharks, and I just want to know how realistic is it. Are there sharks, for instance, out around Montauk?
Most sharks and penny loafers.
Those resorts out.
One or two. The largest great white shark ever taken by a fisherman was taken off Montauk, Long Island. It was taken by Frank Mundus in 1964.
In all the world, you mean?
Ever taken by a fisherman. Now, when you get into statistics here, it's very good.
Yeah, sorry, I cut that off there. But that was interesting. So he came across sharks by mistake because they would go out for swordfish once a year and wouldn't see any swordfish, but they would always see all the sharks. So
you know what's interesting about that clip? If you notice, he kind of like, I can pick the shark and they're malevolent, and how long it took them to die. You see how his attitude was before the Jaws phenomenon changed and everything that happened afterwards, his life. So right there, he's a little flippant about, sharks and catching them, killing them. And so it's an interesting insight into his character and what happened later in his life.
Very much so. I often look at that as you look at that, and that was a general attitude regarding that animal and that fish in the oceans in general. I mean, they were at our disposal. We weren't ever going to kill anything off. It was for us to waste. We would never leave an impact. And I really kind of credit him with some of that paradigm shift to where things are today, the work that both he and Wendy did. So yeah. And then obviously, spawned him to go through and write Jaws. Yeah. Very cool stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
So, that makes me wonder. So the scene of when Hooper actually comes in and eats the dinner and he's talking to Ellen and, Chief is already loading up the glasses with wine. If you think about it, when he says, I watched a thresher turn my inboard into it, or my outboard into an inboard, or whatever this quote is, I wonder if that's from Peter's point of view.
Very well could be. And I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled some personal ideas and stories and things. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, think about it. As a songwriter, don't you write about a lot of things pertaining to you or your perspective on them?
You're right with your
I don't know. We'll have to ask Taylor Swift. Anyway, but I've always thought that. I've always, knowing his background and how he started writing the book, the novel, and that quote has always stuck with me. That has to come from his personal.
You also got to wonder who wrote that line. Was it Carl Gottlieb? Was it Howard Sackler, who, was it one of Peter Benchley's original lines in the script? It could have been, just improvised.
Yeah.
You can run downstairs and get a copy of Benchley's script and look at it if you want.
Yeah. I have Peter Benchley's script. I have that script too. I got to look it up.
I've got the $13.95 Amazon copy that has everyone's signature on the front of it.
Not real.
I got it.
Not real.
The one that comes with the authenticity sticker. You know what I mean?
Even the latest draft of Carl Gottlieb's script is a little different than the film. It's still, you can tell that as they were shooting it, they were working on it, changing things on the fly. So even the last draft is different from the, a lot of lines are different, but yeah, it's a whole process.
Well, you guys were talking about how he might have pulled some things in. I stumbled across something and it just raised a question in my mind. And maybe when you hear this, you'll think I'm crazy. Maybe you go, you never know. So when he was hired, I think it was when he was hired to work for the White House and the government, he was hired by a gentleman who had the last name of Kintner, and he referred to Kintner. He didn't call him much by his first name. He called him Kintner the entire time during the interview, talking about this gentleman that he worked for, that he was hired by. So I'm like, so did he like the guy or not like the guy? And is that why Alice Kintner? Is that why he got killed off? I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting that I kind of stumbled across that. I don't know.
It's like Peter Hyams in all of his films. There's a character named George Spoda who always meets a horrific end. And
Really?
Richard Curtis, who did Love Actually and For Weddings, there's always a character, Notting Hill, there's always a character named Bernie, who's kind of an idiot. And because a guy named Bernie took his girlfriend from him. So, yeah.
That's funny, little Easter egg.
You pay a little homage to
So maybe my theory may be right then.
That would be a Mike's fact right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Haven't had any facts up in a while. Yeah, very cool.
Well, it
has been a while. Even the day with interviews and stuff. And yeah, not that I'm complaining, trust me, but yeah, pretty cool. Very, very cool. Awesome. Yeah. And then, of course, obviously, decided to go in and write Jaws. And was talking a little bit about how when he was writing that or trying to write it, he found refuge. And I don't know if he worked there maybe during the time, but he said, I was married. I had 2 little kids at home. He said, trying to write at home was tough because with 2 little kids running around the house, it's chaos. We all know that. And so he would go to, I want to say it was like a store that sold or like did like heating type work and repair. And that's where he would kind of go and hang out. I don't know if he worked there or not. And he said that's where he wrote a good chunk of it at times. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So real interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. And as a matter of fact, wait, I think I have another little clip. I'm sorry, Mike. Unprofessional of me. I know, Val, you're going to cover a little bit of the conservation. Mike, you're going to cover some of the movies. Janie, you're covering.
I am shooting from the hip today.
That's awesome. That's good. That's good because I have a clip here of him talking just a little bit about Jaws. Once the book was written, and a lot of us know and understand a bit how he put a script out. And I read somewhere he possibly put out a script for 2 other sequels, but I don't know. I can't verify that information or not. I've never heard that before. Have you guys ever heard that?
I haven't. And there's nothing. No. If you go to Boston University, you can look at his papers. He donated all of his papers to Boston University, and really? I actually have downstairs. I have some of his copies of some of his original notes and his writing schedule. Today at 2, I'm going to write Ben Gardner's death. I'm going to do this. But I don't think he ever did any kind of sequel.
I didn't think so either. And so I was trying to find if it was a credible source, and I couldn't. So the only thing I can surmise is either possibly he did, but no one knows about it, or because there's 3 other movies, they just simply associate him with them. Unknowingly.
Based on characters created by credit anyway.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. So let me pull a quick clip in here. Him just talking a little bit I think 75, just talking a little bit about some of the going into, working with and hearing about how things were going to transform from the book over to the movie here, particularly the sharks. There you
go get live sharks down there to make it obviously real. And I said to the producer, suppose you don't get a big enough shark. This one's supposed to be 25 feet long. He said, so we'll hire a midget and put him in the cage, make the shark look bigger. I said, all right, big joke. So they went down there, and lo and behold, they got 3 16-foot great white sharks eating a horse over the side of the boat in Australia. And they weren't 25 feet, so they put out a call for a midget, and they got this guy, qualified diver, and they got him on board the boat, and he looks at these 3 monsters eating this horse, right? And he says, I'm not getting in the water with those things. He said, well, I thought you were a qualified diver. He said, I've never dived in my life. I needed the work. So they put a cage overboard, and they said, you can't get hurt. Nothing's going to happen. Nobody's ever been hurt in one of these cages. He says, all right. They gave him some breathing lessons. And he starts for the cage. Before he can reach the cage, the biggest of the sharks crashes into the cage and gets their cables like this. And he puts his head through the cables, backs off and gets his gills caught in the cables, rips the cage off the boat, takes it to the bottom, and beats it into an unrecognizable shred of aluminum trash.
And of course, we all know that as the reason why Hooper then survived the movie.
Correct.
That was that shot that was taken. Yeah.
Changed the whole dynamic.
Changed everything there with
the better. I mean, if Hooper, how would the film have ended if Hooper died? Like eaten by the shark. Hooper and Quint. I think it was the right choice. I think it was fortuitous.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Besides, we don't know if Scheider would have known enough to get out of there once he finished off the shark. Who knows? Yeah. Very interesting. Awesome. All right. Well, things to ponder, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. And then he talks about how when they went down there to see the sharks, what did they do? they hung a dead horse over the side of the boats. Yeah, let's get in the water.
That's how they would draw them in at that time.
Wow. Yeah, and he's alluded to that in later conversations that I've seen where he's like, no, at the time, that's what they do. If you want to bring sharks around,
correct,
you had to feed them. Where now,
correct.
Now the idea is to look at them in their natural environment, not stir them up into a bit of a feeding frenzy.
They took the horse that they had used in The Godfather, kept the head, and used the rest of it to gather the sharks over in Australia. So they figured they just do two for one. There you go.
You see what they do nowadays? They tow like a fake seal on a sled behind a boat for the shark to come up and get some footage like that during Shark Week, for instance. Better than using a real seal. For sure.
That's pretty amazing watching something the size of a full-size truck come out of the water.
Yeah.
6 or 8 feet to grab those things. Yeah, that's pretty remarkable, except for the nut job. What was that, 2 years ago? Made the clear plexiglass or Lexan container, and he got inside of it.
He got in it, yeah.
And then he was up on the surface, and they had the little decoy. And then they wondered why the 16-foot gray white came up and put his nose through it.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why we can't have nice things.
That's right. And what was the name of the horse in The Godfather? Val, you might know, Mr. Movie Guy.
I think it was Val Capone. I think that was the horse's name in that movie.
No.
Now
you're bragging.
I don't know.
Who was it?
Who was it?
Khartoum.
Oh, that's right. KH, yeah, like Egyptian. That's right.
Khartoum.
That's
two, Mike.
Two.
Back on track here.
I don't think
Atlantic City, there was somebody yelling out random trivia questions for big prizes, and I guess no one had gotten it all day, and he was sad that I got it. He's like, "Oh, damn! I didn't expect anybody to know that."
I don't think many people know that that's a real horse head. That's in The Godfather.
I didn't know that is an actual horse. I didn't know that.
Oh, that's a real dead horse.
Yeah.
Oh,
that makes that scene even freakier.
It's more of.
Yeah, real.
Wow.
Sure. That's another. The Jaws book, we're talking about Jaws and when that came out, but The Godfather is another book that came out that's a lot different from the movie. We're going to talk about that one day too.
Yeah. And a good Jaws and Godfather connection is Ben Marley. His dad is the guy that got the horse's head in his bed. It was John Marley. Yeah. Ben Marley from Jaws 2. Yeah.
From Jaws 2. Really?
Oh.
That's 3. All right. Someone's got to start pulling some weight here.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, Val. You're not familiar with it.
I mean, how can you not?
It's a little fun we have, Val, when somebody drops a really cool fact. I pull that up.
You gotta make a Val fact thing one day. So Val's fact.
I'm gonna make a Nate's fact one day, but I gotta come up with some good facts first. Once I do that, I'll have my own too. But until then, you're gonna have to get in line. I'm just kidding. These guys are the fact monsters. Like I said, I come on here for an education every week. That's what I love. It's one of the things I love about it.
Because I was bored and my wife.
Dave, I wanted to tell you, went to my granddaughter's soccer game the other day, and my grandson, who's now in 4th grade, I said, I was telling my son the story about the Final Jeopardy question, and I said, Hudson, what are the 3 parts of a subtraction equation? He's like, blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, God damn it.
Did he really?
You won the whole thing.
It's fresh in his mind. That's 50 years ago.
Aunt Katie is very proud, Hudson. There you go, honey. There you go.
Those were hard questions, man. They were hard.
Yeah, we don't play around.
We do Jaws trivia.
Yeah,
we do the final, the grand challenge game. That's going to be the $100 question. Be a normal $500 question.
All right, bring it on. So how many of you read the Jaws book back in 1974?
I didn't read it then. I read it.
Some of you weren't born yet. So. Did you read it back then, Michael?
I read it after I saw the movie. Yeah, in '75.
I remember reading it I think it was in the 8th grade, and I just don't remember much, but I remember the opening of it, and it was fantastic, just the way it opened. And everybody, I got my hands on a paperback copy of it, and it was all beat up already, and it was all stained and everything because it had made the rounds around the classroom. But it was so, even before the movie came out, the hype was, this is being made into a movie, a giant shark. I mean, you had to be there to know the hype and hysteria for Jaws was real.
Yeah.
I mean, it started in '74, right through when it came out, and for the last 50 years. But everybody was reading that book. Everybody.
I actually think I read
I stole it from my uncle.
Digest, the condensed version. Because
really?
Yeah, my aunt had a subscription to Reader's Digest, and 4 times a year you got a hardback book that would condense 3 or 4 novels, and the Jaws one, I think I read it then, and it's got great illustrations.
I saw that. Doing my research, I tried to take a picture of it. I couldn't, but it had a great illustration of the 4 characters, and they look completely different, right?
Yeah,
completely different.
We got to get that picture. Yeah. It's really cool.
Hooper's like Cassidy. Cassidy and Jaws is what the way Hooper's depicted in the novel.
Right.
Yeah, Janie, when did you read the book? How old were you?
I was about 12, and that was because I stole it from my uncle.
Wow.
Well, I was visiting my grandparents in Cincinnati, and he had read it earlier, and it was the paperback. And I asked my grandmother, I'm like, hey, can I say, yeah, your uncle's done with it? And I was reading it aloud, and basically my mother became nauseous with Chrissy's death scene. So, okay. Yeah. That was not a fun trip back to Florida.
Age 10.
I actually just started reading it again. I just started reading it again this week. Actually, today, I got the audio book. It was free if you join Audible.
Yeah,
I have it. Yeah,
for free, which I have to listen to it. But it's amazing how, and I haven't read the whole thing yet. I read it a couple of years ago. It is so different. The characters are so different.
So,
they're not likable characters. I mean, they're
not one of them.
Because we're so used to the film. That's why we're so used to how they portrayed in the film. But as the book on its own, it's a lot more dark and hardcore. These characters, man. It's a different take on Jaws. I think in the preface, Peter Benchley even says, "Oh, you don't know anything about the mafia? You don't know anything about the romance? Buckle up and read on." So he tells you that this is a different experience in the movie.
Yeah, I've always said that I think you couldn't do a movie out of the original book, but it would make for a good modern Netflix series. All the subplots and going into what was going on behind the scenes with those things. I've often thought that. Yeah, I didn't read the book until I was, oh my God. You know what? I want to say I was probably 42. I just didn't. Of course, I didn't learn to read until I was 41, so that kind of held things up a little bit. So,
what do they say? Those who can't do teach.
Those who can't teach what? Jim? What was it? I don't remember.
Underwater ceramics, the good stuff. Yeah. No, the reason why I started to read, obviously, knew it existed, was my wife and son went to the local library. And once a year, they'd have a big book sale just to honestly unload old stuff, clear out the shelves, the old stuff, bring in new stuff. Lo and behold, they come home with a first edition with the cover still on it. The original, the black, with just the gray shark before all the art. First edition Jaws book. They picked it up for like $1 or something. I still have it. I mean, it's in good shape. Yeah, and I read it. That was what I read that summer. And yeah, absolutely. There's a lot more going on there.
It's a bit jarring. It's a bit jarring to read the book after seeing the film. Like, wow. Yeah. And you realize that, everyone has their opinions on those aspects of the book, but Spielberg and his writers, they pared it down perfectly. They, just to
very much
concentrate on the adventure aspect of the book. But if it wasn't for the book, we wouldn't be here, man. No matter what anybody thinks of the book is what started it all.
Oh, I don't think the book's bad at all. Some people bad mouth the book.
Not at all.
It's a good book.
It's a good
But
pop, it's a good pulp summer pot boiler. I mean, a good beach read.
Yeah.
You know. And it
Bill's joining us over on Facebook saying, "Yep, I read it around 76 when I was 10. That's right. Yeah. That's quite an adult book to be reading that as many as you guys are saying.
I was 9 years old when I was reading it. Yeah, 10 years
wow.
old. 10 years old. Yeah.
You point those words. Hey, Mom, what does this mean? What is this? What?
I got hit by a shark. We got hit. Got hit.
Why was Hooper breathing so heavy? Was he working out? What was he doing, Mom? What happened there? Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
The one thing I learned from Jaws is that when you order scallops, if they're round, it's flounder. I remember that.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Mike's Facts.
And we go to dinner we have seafood. Juanita likes scallops, and I always look and I go, but that's flounder. Yeah.
It's interesting. There you go.
That's 4, Mike. You're on it. Well, speaking of books and movies, Mike, I want to talk a little bit about some of his other stories outside of Jaws.
What would you like to talk about? Well, I thought I covered a little bit of Jaws and then The Deep, because those are the two major films. I mean, the Island was also a film. Wasn't as well received as the first two. Great movie. Probably saw it 25 times that summer because in order to get my math requirement out of my way for my senior year, I went to summer school, which was great because you had to grade your own tests. So I passed with flying colors. But then Matt would meet me and we go see The Deep pretty much every afternoon. A much better written book as far as the plot. I think Val touched on Jaws had a lot of elements that I could see Benchley's editor probably going, okay, let's have this. Let's have the sex scene. Let's have this. Let's have this tension. Because that's what everything, back then in the early 70s, it was like Jacqueline Suzanne and Erica Jong. They were writing more adult, for lack of a better word, novels. So I think some of that stuff he just put in because it was expected. The Deep didn't have anything. By then, he'd been established with Jaws. He could have written anything he wanted to. I think the film is also very well adapted and very faithful to the book. I think Robert Shaw is great as Romer Treese. Basically the plot's the same. They find the little little ampules of drugs down below, and they also find treasure. And Lugasi gets eaten by the eel, and but I think it was a much better novel to read. In fact, if you haven't read either, I would suggest you read The Deep first, and then read Jaws, because the Deep's a really good, entertaining read.
I remember when The Deep came out in 1977, it was heavily marketed from the writer of Jaws, and my friends and I, when we went to see it, we were all expecting the same kind of Jaws experience, and starts off with some woman in a tight shirt.
I was like, come on, get to the shirt.
But it had great cinematography. It had a great John Barry score. It had some great visual effects. And the eel was, but they were going for that. They were marketing it to the Jaws crowd. Come see this film, and it was a huge success. I remember.
Raiders was billed as from the creators of Jaws and Star Wars.
Yeah.
So anytime you can throw another film. Now you'll see a movie like it'll say from written by one of the 5 writers of such and such.
Yeah.
Sure.
Stretching.
Yeah.
Automatically trying to bring that crowd in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Deep is a good movie. It was a good movie and a good.
Have you guys read like Creature and the Beast and those movies?
I read both Creature and White Shark. It was called when I read it, and that was
I've read White Shark. Yeah, I have that.
I remember really liking it. It turned out to be strange about Nazis making a half shark, half man. Yeah. But I remember enjoying it, and I enjoyed Beast, the octopus one, the giant squid. I'm sorry, the giant squid. So those were good. I enjoyed those books. They were good, enjoyable, entertaining reads. Not Jaws, but yeah, I read those. They were good.
What about you, Mike?
I stopped at the island.
Did you?
Yeah, which was a good read, but it wasn't.
I like the island too. And then another one, they hyped it up when the movie came out. The cover of the paperback with the Bantam paperback kind of had a Jaws feel to it.
Yeah,
remember?
The hand with the knife.
Right. Yeah. And then I saw the movie, and the thing with the movie was it looked cheap. And it wasn't a cheap film. It just looked like a cheap film. It just wasn't a really good film, and that flopped, I think, pretty bad.
Yeah, Michael Caine got beat up over that one a little bit.
Oh yeah, it was not a good movie.
Although that was remade, I don't know if it was early 2000s, and it was by Ewan McGregor, I believe, was a starring role in that. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that. I'm known to be wrong, but
are you talking about the Michael Bay film?
Maybe I'm thinking up the wrong alley.
No, I don't think the island. I don't think the island was remade. I don't think so.
I'd have to look it up. Like I said, I'm very well could be wrong with that, but
the island made in 2023.
Yeah, it would have been way before that. Yeah, would have been Ewan McGregor before he was in Star Wars movies. Yeah.
All right, hang on. Well, shoot.
I don't think it might have been in a similar type of film, Nate, but
or it might have just been the same name. But I'm totally, like I said, I did not read the book here, but yeah, we do. Robert's trying to chime in on some of these.
Yeah,
not a fan of deep.
What
is that? It?
Yeah. Futuristic thriller about a contained, seemingly utopian facility in the mid 21st century.
Michael Bay, Scarlett Johansson.
So this was Scarlett Johansson. Yeah.
Michael Bay, Steve Buscemi was in it. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a Michael Bay fan. I don't mind his stuff at all. I enjoy it. Hey, he's a well-paid.
I'm off duty. 911.
Did Robert say he did not like Jacqueline Bisset in the wet T-shirt?
No, I think he said not a fan of the deep, but just the image of Jack. So apparently he didn't like the movie. He just liked her. So I'm sure that drew a lot of young men to watch the film. I'm sure.
I think when I first saw the deep, I never understood what they were talking about with Jacqueline Bisset. I think when I first saw the deep, I missed the first 10 minutes of it. I walked in after the first 10 minutes. So I never knew what everybody was talking about until I finally saw it on cable on HBO.
10 minutes.
A couple years later, I'm like, whoa, okay.
You know what drew me to watch it?
The water was really cold. It was the deep.
What drew me to watch it was I was like, hey, Quinn's scuba diving in this film. I've got to watch this film. I mean, really. And that was one of my favorite scenes, was the underwater scene. When the divers go after him and he gets shot in the leg and you're trying to pull him out. That was a great scene.
I got to see that again. I want to watch that again. I'm curious.
It's on one of the I want to say it's on one of the the free subscription deals like Tubi or Pluto or something.
I watched it in the last couple months. One of the movies I think I own digitally. I mean,
sure.
$5. Get it right.
The guy who did probably one of your favorite movies, Nate, Breaking Away.
Peter Yates.
Movie.
Peter Yates.
Peter Yates. Yeah.
Who also directed Crow. I love Crow.
Crow. Oh wow, man! I haven't seen that before ever. Wow. Used to watch that replay on HBO.
Yeah. Just came out in 4K.
Wow. Yeah.
So those books I enjoyed them for what they were. Those those little pulp crazy kind of books.
Did you guys watch any of the others that turned into some of the TV shows or TV made for movies?
Well, those two, they turned them into the movies, Beast and White Shark. And I think White Shark was renamed Creature for TV. So
The Creature.
Remember them being on NBC? I thought they were fine.
Yeah, they were made for TV movies.
Yeah, that's the one that our friend that we're trying to get on again, Nick Mara, he helped build The Creature.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah. Yeah, I have the promo here.
I wonder.
I'm pretty sure I have the promo here. Let me see here. I'll pull that in. I thought, and ironically that you say that, Janie, that it was Nick Marr. I thought that the Shark Creature was done incredibly well, especially for a movie that was on TV. I mean, I thought it was pretty astounding, not knowing what the budget would have been for a TV show. Let me look here. I think I've got the Creature here. I have the Beast too. I did grab. Here it is, Creature movie. I can't remember if this is a promo or the scene. Let me pull this in here quick.
Beast and the deep joins forces with the man who created the dinosaurs in
Get in.
Jurassic Park to bring you a terrifying creature you've never seen before.
This one shark you're dealing with, this thing's part human.
Don't expect it to stop at the water's edge. You go after that thing. You're insane.
Whatever it is, destroy it now! Peter Benchley's Creature.
Yeah, I thought that was done.
Craig T. Nelson?
Yep, sure is.
That is.
Him controlled.
That's yep.
You took the headstones, but you kept the bodies. Why?
Love that movie.
Yeah,
better than me. I was going to say it's Coach in Sex and the City try and hunt a shark down. No wonder it didn't work.
Mr. Incredible. Mr. Incredible too.
So what was the plot?
Yeah.
It was a half man, half shark.
It was a Nazi created half man, half shark.
Kind of hybrid kind of deal. And it got out.
Like you got out, and they were using it to kill things. It was just. It got.
And then it almost took on like the Wolverine kind of thing, didn't it? Do almost like a metalloid version of her or something like that, or it gained that ability almost like.
I honestly cannot remember if we ever get Nick on here, because I already told him, I'm like, dude, the door's open, we're ready for you. He can probably explain. So, but yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I would love to get him back. We'll get him on. Yeah. And then the Creature, which that really put me in mind of a little bit of like, what was it, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, with the giant squid or octopus or whatever.
The Beast.
I'm sorry, the Beast. Yes, and I was searching around for clips of that, and ironically, I came across what was the show on the History Channel? It's the two guys that go around digging through junk, finding up old bikes and motorcycles and stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Pickers?
Yeah.
Pickers?
American Pickers.
American Pickers. So I'm trying to find a little bit of that, and I come across an American Pickers episode. I'm like, why is this coming across in my feed when I'm searching? Here, the squid that was used in that movie, some guy had this thing. It was made out of silicone. Had this thing, 30, 40 years later, and so they were trying to cut a deal with him to buy this thing so that they could turn around and sell it. And so they did a little kind of background on it and all that stuff. So it was kind of interesting. Yeah. And that was another made for TV movie. And I don't know that I ever saw the whole thing. I remember I think it was like 2 or 3 nights it was on in a row.
It was like I think it was a mini series.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I know I watched a couple of nights and I was interested and I enjoyed it. Whatever reason, didn't finish it. But
every one of these, everything was off Peter Benchley's name. All this stuff was all Peter Benchley. Thanks to Jaws, that gave him his career pretty much. Everything he did afterwards was, based on that. Every movie, every book.
Well, he said, Jaws afforded me to do what I wanted for the next 10 years. I could write about whatever I wanted to, So he definitely earned it. Yeah. Let me, you guys don't mind, let me pull that clip in here real quick.
And I think this is with William Peterson pre-CSI.
Post Manhunter.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I think I got it here.
Benchley's have always enjoyed the waters of Graves Point. But this summer, something will go terribly wrong.
A couple of divers were killed this morning.
What happened to him?
Tonight, one question will be on everyone's mind.
Get out of the water! That thing's killed 7 people. Its food supply is gone, and now it's attacking us. We need somebody who knows what the hell he's doing. Get out there and eliminate the damn thing.
We should just leave that thing alone. And I can handle just about anything.
We could both be killed out there.
You've got to find a way to stop it. You'll be a hero. More impressive, more gripping than anyone could have ever imagined. Ray's TV guide. And now, Peter Benchley's The Beast.
There you have it.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah. Makes you want to see it.
I don't think it was. I remember it not being too bad. I remember it being.
Yeah.
And again, I thought the effects and stuff were done really well, especially for something that was going right to TV. I really did. Yeah.
TV shows back then in the 80s, 90s, it's not like nowadays with the huge budgets and theater like movie like scenes and everything. It was when you saw something a little spectacular like that on TV, it was like, all right, we got to tune in and watch it.
Yeah.
Probably on a Sunday night.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, we do have a couple people. Robert's kind of chiming in on some of these books who actually don't mind the island book and the film. And then
brave comment.
Yeah, Bill's saying that the island was a great book. Yeah, so definitely has some fans of the island out there. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting. Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, should we jump into a little bit of kind of post Jaws, post the Beast, a little bit of what he did, a little bit of his vision further on down the line.
After I did some research on this. After he wrote Jaws, everything became, he saw what it did to the shark population of the world. We saw those clips before, how he was a little flippant about it, but after he saw how Jaws gave these shark hunters, free license to go and kill as many sharks as they want because of Jaws. It was your chance of being eaten by a shark was what, 1 in 3.7 million. That's your chances of being eaten by a shark. And humans kill. I was looking at this. They kill 50 to 100 million sharks a year, and I'm sure it weighed heavily on Peter Benchley after the success of Jaws, and he, after that, saw what had happened to the environment, to the fate of sharks. He decided to dedicate pretty much the rest of his life to conservationism on the education of sharks and to save sharks from being killed for trophy. He wrote books on it. He did some documentaries on it. Him and Wendy both dedicated their lives to educating and saving sharks, and they did a great job. I mean, as I told you guys once before, he was the very first host of Shark Week. When Shark Week premiered, Peter Benchley was the first host of Shark Week, and they even created the Peter Benchley Ocean Awards, the conservation awards, to give out to people and individuals and organizations that promoted, the saving sharks and learning about sharks. And one of the things he said was that he was wrong about the theory of territoriality in the film. That's a big, I believe in. He says he was wrong about that. Sharks aren't like that. They don't seek out humans. They don't, we invade their territory. They don't invade our territory. So he acknowledges that he got a lot of things wrong, and he felt, you can tell in all his interviews afterwards, that he felt bad about how the world viewed sharks after the success of Jaws, and he worked hard, he and Wendy, to change that perception of sharks as these evil beasts. When I saw Jaws with my wife, we went to see it in IMAX, and people clap at the end when the shark is blown to bits. And we're like, the shark was just being the shark. The shark's not the evil, is not the bad guy in Jaws. I mean, that's what we thought growing up. But that poor shark it was doing what sharks do. You want to pick a villain, pick Mayor Vaughn was the villain of Jaws. He was directly responsible for the deaths of Alex Kintner, for the death of the guy in the boat in the pond. But that shark was just doing what sharks do. And now Peter Benchley said I can never write Jaws nowadays. He said after he wrote the book because I could never make the shark the villain. I mean, the humans are the villain. So he dedicated his life to changing the perception of sharks, and he did a great job. I think he's now the population of sharks is increasing. I guess it was really bad for a while. But he was really against shark finning. They cut the fin off the shark, and thankfully that was banned in 2006. They got it banned in the United States. So
I would never pull any footage up of that. If you've ever seen that in action,
what part of it? There's a clip of it in the 50th anniversary documentary that just was released, and I can't watch that clip. There's a clip where they show them finning and they show them throwing these poor sharks back in the water to drown and drop. I can't watch it. I mean, they're a vital part of the ecosystem of the oceans, and thanks to Jaws, ocean conservationism is very, a lot of people are into it now, and that's a good thing. So eventually, ultimately, a good thing came out of it. Short term, it was bad after Jaws came out. But afterwards, I think, a lot of people now are champions of sharks. Hence Shark Week, how popular Shark Week is.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a real famous quote that Peter had for a long time. One that kind of resounds with what we've been saying here. It says, no, the shark is an updated Jaws could not be the villain. It would have to be written as the victim. Right. Worldwide, sharks are as much the oppressed rather than the oppressors. That's very much a true statement. And I think it goes without saying that the work that both he and his wife did, like you said earlier, really responsible for some of that paradigm shift. Because now, you look at older videos and it was, the tough guys going out and, grabbing these sharks, and you'd see footage and guys are reeling these things in. Someone pulls out a gun and they're shooting them. And I mean, it's just ridiculous and how they were putting them on display for their size and their grotesquity. And you guys can remember, the documentary on the great white. It was called, what was it called? Great White Water Death. Great White. Yeah. And that was a general attitude, and I want to say that was probably the attitude towards sharks before Benchley wrote Jaws. Obviously, it had an impact on that as well. But now, it's ironic and interesting. So you pull up and watch a YouTube video of a shark that ends up, for whatever reason, beaching itself. And rather than killing it or stabbing it or putting it on display, the people are, digging trenches, trying to get it back out in the water, trying to help this thing,
Thank God for
that. Trying to release it. Even fishermen that are catching them or releasing them, walking them back in the water. And so it really is, it has shifted. The attitude has shifted. And I think education is a big part of that because, unfortunately, we as human beings, I always say that we're very habitual in nature. When we don't know something about something, we tend to be worried, scared, and feared. And so right away, our natural reaction is just that. How we react to things is not in a good way. And so it's kind of nice to see that change because, as you all know, once you develop a habit, it's a hard habit to break. So it's interesting to see people taking on a different attitude towards that now.
One of my coworkers texted me this the other day. It says, if you watch Jaws backwards, it's a heartwarming story about a shark who gives arms and legs to people who need them.
You need them. I agree.
Yeah, but although there's nothing in Jaws, well, I guess the arm from the Chrissy arm.
Yeah. Ted Grossman's leg. And he gives Alex Kintner like about 7 pints of blood. So I guess that's a good thing, right?
I never knew Ted Grossman was the stiff in Goonies until years later.
In the cooler.
Wait a minute, it's a stiff. Yeah. Good for him. He passed it. Too bad. But yeah, one of the facts I learned was like 12 people.
He's not dead. Ted's not dead.
No.
I just talked to him over the summer. I hope he's not dead.
Wait a second. Wait.
Not that I'm aware of. No, he's still.
I thought he. You know what? I thought he was dead. I thought Ted Wilson passed away. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
Ted, if you're watching this,
sorry, Ted.
Love you.
We apologize in advance.
Not
Please do not sue us.
Well, hope we didn't.
Nope.
You know, one of the facts I learned was that.
Nope. Still alive. He is 94 years old.
Wow. I don't know why I thought he passed away. Wow.
And he still does outdoor stuff.
Does he?
And he's an April baby like me.
Can't you get him on the show?
He doesn't do technology.
Oh, yeah.
When you call him, it's his girlfriend's phone. It says, "Hi, Ted doesn't have a phone. Leave a message." If you're calling for Ted, yeah.
Huh? Still up there and kicking.
You know, I think Peter Benchley's had a good career, man. You know, sad that he passed away so young. My God, he was only 3 years older than I am now. You know, that was but he's left a long, great legacy for all of us, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Not for him, we wouldn't be here.
That's right.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And I do have a picture. I grabbed him a little bit. I want to say you guys would know. I wouldn't know because I wasn't there. I would assume this is in 2005.
Yeah.
2005 Jaws Fest, as opposed to the 12 of him there signing an original first release copy there. So it was a very dignified, good-looking picture of him, you know, in his latter years. Yeah.
I read an article in the Cape Cod on the Cape Cod Times, I think it was, and they were talking about how he was very proud of Jaws, and you know, for a lot of reasons. And one of the best experiences he had, and I'm glad to say and happy to say I was there at this event, was they screened Jaws in the late 90s. It might have been 1997 at Radio City Music Hall. At that time, Radio City Music Hall had a Universal Fest, and they were showing like Universal Fest, Warner. They were showing all these great films, and they showed Jaws. And there's 3,600 seats in Radio City Music Hall, and it was sold out. And before the film, nobody knew this. Before the film came out, before the film started, Peter Benchley came out and was introduced, and he received a thunderous, that's the only way to describe it, standing ovation. And he told a couple of stories about being there and Steven Spielberg. And he said the reaction from the crowd moved him to tears. And I'm sure Wendy knows this too when we speak to her next week. But to this day, that was the best audience experience of Jaws I've ever seen, because at Radio City Musical, 3,600 people, every line was repeated. Everything. They knew every line, every scene, laughed when they were supposed to laugh. And it was the greatest. And I'm happy I was there, that he was, and he said he was moved to tears from the crowd, the ovation that he got. So he was loved. He still is too.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of rounding out the hour here, but I do have a little clip, kind of him talking about a little bit conservation and why the importance of the sharks. Let me pull that in here real quick for us. Here we go.
Compared to bony fish species, other fish species, the reproduction rates of sharks is very, very slow. Great white sharks, just as an example, the theory is that they don't breed until they're about 20. They seldom pup more than 3 or 4, but there are fish that lay millions of eggs. When you kill an adult breeding shark, you destroy generations upon generations of sharks that will fulfill the community, because there just are not that many of them. They don't reproduce enough to maintain the species. The loss to the world, to nature, would be both aesthetic, in that these are wonderful animals that have survived for hundreds of millions of years virtually unchanged, but also very practical, because if you take the apex predators out of the food chain, nature will be out of balance.
Yeah. Important part we really don't reflect on very much. So yeah.
They're a vital part of the ecosystem for sure.
100% part of the chain. You break the chain, and then you got problems. Breaks and links. Yeah, we got Matt joining us in here tonight. Matt, first of all, Matt, before you even read your comment, I hope you heard your intro tonight. Hope you heard your intro, buddy. We opened up with you tonight. The digestive system of this animal is very, very slow. Let's go to shark open. Whatever he's eaten in the last 24 hours is bound to still be in there. That's right. It ruined a lot of people on drinking milk for quite a while, too.
Yeah, it did.
That poor rubber shark.
Yeah. You know that part of that scene that got to me the most was when Hooper slides back.
Yeah.
You remember he's wearing the jeans and the jacket. When he slides back and he pulls his knees up, and you can see from the knee down, he's drenched in shark guts. And I'm going, oh my God, are you kidding me? And you know he's on the island with that little knapsack. He's probably his only pair of jeans. Like, I'd be at home with a knife that night making a pair of cut-off shorts, you know?
I thought it was a nice touch, him like exaggerating the smell that he was experiencing, cutting that thing open.
No, I've smelled it.
Yeah, so
I have. Yeah. 1989, Lori Dash Now Twist. I've dissected sharks.
Ooh.
For marine biology. So yes.
Gotta love that gut cheese.
Oh my God, Matt.
Well,
here's trivia. Okay. Here's trivia. What was the shark's name? How many people know?
Oscar.
Oh, come on. Oscar came up from Florida. Federal Express on an airplane. That's right.
Oscar.
Yep. They couldn't find. They hired a bunch of locals up on the vineyard to catch sharks. They couldn't find one big enough. So,
came from the Florida coast in the Gulf of Mexico, and yes, that's what it is. But yes, down there near the Fort Myers area, Cape Coral, that area.
Janie, were you at the Shark Con the year that the guy whose dad caught that shark? He was there. Was that the year you came down too?
No, the year I was there was with you, and you did the Q&A with Richard.
Right.
And so
I remember hearing about that, but I know I didn't.
Yeah. It was a few years ago.
I do like Shark Con, and I kind of want to hopefully talk to Wendy about it next week. But it is very important, and Val brings this up, because if he did not write that novel, we didn't have the backlash. It's all a domino effect, because now there are so many people more aware of shark conservation. And then thanks to people such as SeaWorld, Moat Marine, who are based in Florida, that go to Shark Con that these guys have gone to and I've gone to, shows the amount of love and care that they do for our oceans and for the education. And it's just amazing that it brought me back. So, Mike, you were at the booth and I walked around, and it brought me back so many good memories with me being in marine biology. I mean, It was just like, I didn't want to come back to Tennessee. I'd rather go work at SeaWorld or go to Moat Marine.
So many years, my wife Christy wanted to be a marine biologist. She was just. It was
everybody did when you saw Jaws. Yeah.
When you saw Jaws, that was the inspiration.
Yeah.
We all did. Yeah. I told the story a bunch of times that I was in first grade taking every book I could out of the library at school that had to deal with sharks, and then it was the gory details. It was a nasty shark that ate 5 people, and it's upside down, and they would invert their stomach and it's hanging out of the mouth, and then my mom would get a phone call because my son's son was taken in from
do you know the name of that book that Brody was flipping through that had those gory pictures in it? Because that one shot of that leg bitten, that guy's dead. He's not alive.
Let's hope. He didn't. I don't know what book that was from. I have the National Geographic that he was also flipping through.
February 1968. Yep.
There you go. My good friend Jamie Sanders sent me a copy of that. Yeah.
You can freeze frame the shot, and you see the names of the books, but I'm not sure if you can freeze frame that one book that he was looking through with. I love the way that sequence starts. First it's just sharks. Then you see the shark with the tank in its mouth, which is a foreshadowing of Jaws, and then they have that one picture of the giant jaws and the people inside the jaws, and that transitions to all the bites. It's just a very ingenious sequence. That whole sequence is great.
I think Jim Beller has that book.
Oh, does he?
I think he actually has that book.
Yeah.
Because he was on the island. He was at like an antique store or something. He saw the book and he opened it and stamped on the inside and said "Property, Universal Prop Department."
Oh wow!
So
you're kidding me, really?
The book.
So not the book that was used, but the actual copy that was used for the movie.
Yes.
Holy cow! Dear God!
There's a really great one that I have had for years. And this gentleman, Dr. John McCosker and Richard Ellis, they did one called Great White Shark. And it has a lot of those same photos in there.
Oh, really?
Yes. And John McCosker was the actual technical advisor for the fourth Jaws movie, Jaws the Revenge.
The Revenge. Wow. Wow. I think we're getting more points on the board here. That's a genius. Ding, ding, ding. There you go. 4-1 to 0-0.
Yeah, one of the books, let me see what it's called. Sharks and Rays. One of the books, I'm looking at the picture I took. One of the books on the shelf is called Sharks and Rays.
Interesting. And you were talking earlier about
Blue Meridian is another book on his shelf. I wonder if that these are the ones that that Roy Scheider had on his desk. Sharks and Rays, Blue Meridian, probably some other ones. One of the questions, one of the trivia questions on the Vineyard at that 50th anniversary, the 50th reunion was
the one that we did, or at the reunion?
At the museum, the reunion day. One of the trivia questions was, what was the name of the painting of the shark going into the boat?
Going through the boat.
Before, Michael, get out of the water now, when she sees that. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what the name of that painting was. They did. I don't remember it, but that was one of the.
It's in here.
Oh, is it?
It's in my book. Right here. Whoa! Just pass it.
Hold it up. I'll try and pull you up here.
Yeah, what book is that? I want to get that book.
Their answer was right, Val.
What?
It doesn't mean their answer was right.
True. Oh well.
I was going to say that guy had some weird. That guy had some information.
He said the name of the boat that Hooper came in on was.
I have the picture, but I don't have the name of it. But this is what he's talking about.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly. That's exactly what he's talking about. Yep.
And I mean, I guess it's a famous painting, but.
It is. I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen copies of that.
Those trivia guys were funny. I told them the trivia. One of the questions is wrong. They're like, moving on. They didn't care. They didn't care that they were wrong.
Well,
he rattled a couple off.
I was signing books, and Judy Pankos ran up and said, "What was the name of Hooper's book? Hooper's Boat." And I said, "Fascinating Rhythm." And then she goes and she comes back. She goes, "You were wrong. It's the Aurora." I said, "No, it's not.
No, it's not."
Judy Pankos was sitting next to me during that trivia contest, and she kept on popping on her phone. Judy.
And here is, okay, so the gentleman in the white, this is a long time ago though, but the gentleman in the white shirt is Dr. John McCosker. I don't know if you can see that, but there's the Jaws 4 shark.
Yep, there it is. Yeah.
Interesting.
Very nice.
And I think this is the one that was at Universal Studios Orlando when they opened up the Jaws thing. So this was in their prop yard. Called the Boneyard at Universal in Orlando.
When he still had all his teeth before he came gum.
Correct. Yes.
Oh my
yes.
God.
When he still had all of his teeth. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Go ahead. Put it up there. Go ahead.
But where? Hold on. I'm trying to look at comments here. You think I'm gypping you on it? Is that what you think I'm doing? Here we go. Look, that's number 2. Number 2. That's right. Rub it in. Go ahead. You go right ahead. I want to say, Greg Najjar is joining in. He just commented saying, "Hey, I think it was Splendid Savage of the Sea," and then a really good friend of mine, Phil Palazzi, who I worked with for years, lives down in Delaware at the shore now. He's chiming in and saying, "Hey, Phil, and hello, Greg.
Hey,
good to hear from you guys."
Hey.
We got a couple more comments.
Paul Kelly is the artist who did that painting.
Who was it?
Oh, okay.
Paul Kelly, Calle, and it was done for National Geographic.
Very nice. Oh man, here we go. Janie, see what happens when you're cocky? See? Get knocked down a rung. That's the way it works.
Great kid, don't get cocky.
yeah, exactly. There you go. Quote of the night.
I learned from Obi-Wan Kenobi over here.
Turn and say it.
All right, what else we do? Now I'm falling behind over here on comments. So what do we got going on here?
Sorry.
Man, no, don't be sorry. What part of the fun here? It's called "Can We Confuse Nate?" And really, you're really not that good at confusing me at this point. You've got to pick someone. Really? All right, Matt's chiming in saying, "I think that pick of the sailors is getting crunched by the sharks in the Reader's Digest version of Jaws." Oh, very well might be. Yeah, I can't speak to it. I've seen some of the art in the Reader's Digest version and stuff, but I don't know. Yeah, I would have to look at that. Yeah.
I mean, there were some pictures when it was first published in Cosmopolitan, and they had the character pictures on there that Helen Gurley Brown had, wanted in, and it was kind of depicted like what he had described.
Yeah. And in the movie, the way they piece it together seamlessly, it almost looks like all of those pages were out of the same book. Because you see him do this with the book, and then he goes through. Because when Jamie sent me a copy of it. He said, "Hey, do you have the Reader's Digest?" I said, "No." He's like, "Okay, there's one coming your way." And I'm going, "I'm going to make a video of this. Watch, I'm going to be Martin Brody." And then I start going, "Oh, there's this pic, there's this. Oh, they're not all from the same book. Guess I'm not Martin Brody." So it was a good thought. But Claudia's chiming in and saying, "Thank you for the picture book presentation, Janie."
I try to teach her every day of something.
There you go. Robert saying, "I think the boneyard is also the name for the scrap yards where they park the old decommissioned planes." Yep, they're all called the boneyards. Yeah, absolutely. Very good.
I like to go to the boneyard there.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun.
So I think I was thinking about the famous poster for Jaws by Roger Castell, I believe his name is, right?
Yeah,
right here. So is the shark a mako or is it a great white? In the documentary, I think they say it's a mako, right? They take it out of the American Museum of Natural History.
It's actually still in formaldehyde or something like that, but it was
and they said it was a mako.
It was hung in the Museum of Natural History, and I think it is a mako, but I'm not sure. But it's definitely not a great white. But if you look at the teeth are completely different from a great white. Great whites are more triangular. But when he saw it is what gave him the idea when he shot the picture from below.
Because when at the Vineyard Museum exhibit, they had a picture of the way they explained it was that it was a great white shark. So that's why there's a little controversy. They say it's a great white.
He came out. I think, Mike, am I wrong? Did Roger say he came out and said it was not a great white? I mean, clearly
it wasn't. Yeah.
Think it's a mako, right?
The actual picture that inspired
it may have been a mako, but I'm not sure.
I think it is a mako. I think.
Well, and to add to a little bit of that controversy, you can see the actual photo that he took because he said at the time they had taken the sharks down because they were cleaning or updating or whatever. But if the teeth are definitely the standout difference because the short fin mako have those long teeth. They're made for reaching and grabbing. They're such bad sharks. They chase things down. Where a great white, as you know, serrated, they grab a hold of something, shake the head, and it just cuts through like steak knives. Well, on top of that, the mako and the great white come from the same family of shark. And if you ever look at a very big mako, when they get big and they get portly, that's what they start to look like. They start to look like great whites. Now, Val, I'll put this in context for you. When you were on Martha's Vineyard, did you happen to wander into Nancy's right next to the restaurant, right next to where the Orca was parked?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I went into Nancy's.
The shark hanging on the front of that building is not a great white. That is a short fin mako, a very large one.
There you go.
But it looks like, now it doesn't have the gray to it. They're more blue, but it looks, they start to take on that great white look to them. Yeah. So yeah. Janie?
Clarification. July 18, 2025, artist Castile. It is Shark and Jaws poster isn't great white, a mako.
Mako, yeah. Short fin mako. Interesting.
Wow. Yeah. Or as they say in Jaws, it's a Macau.
It's a Macau.
It's a Macau.
It's a Macau, yeah.
Got a deep
road.
I always heard, I think it's from a cove. And
no,
I thought he said Macau, like a long O on the end.
Right.
I thought that was just the accent.
Too, yeah.
I think that's what he said. Macau, yeah.
Of course,
I'm gonna send a little video to our pages for people to see this, because I just got a video of the guy. Shoot, I just found it. Anyway, he's actually found it. The curator did.
Not a great white.
And it's
actually a
short fin mako.
Right. Yeah.
So watch it. I don't know if you can bring up my name. There we go.
Yep, there it is.
While all of our specimens here in the collection carry with them a certain scientific value.
Let me just look at that. There you go.
Value and in some specific cases,
yeah.
There you go.
Boy, he didn't age well after that movie. Am I right?
I'm sorry. I would hate to be in that. I would hate to be in that formaldehyde and that smell, because I've been there.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like any fun.
It's no.
No more trips to Red Lobster after that. No.
Yeah, no.
Greg is saying teeth look like Lorraine Bobbitt's scissors. That's a great saying.
Oh God, guys, come on.
I wasn't. Not my words. Not my words. I did not do that. No, that is from the mouth of Greg himself. That's exactly right.
I'm not okay. He's grounded. Greg's grounded.
Yeah, and Robert's saying, "Yep, bingo. There we go. Short fin mako shark. Yeah, pretty amazing creatures in their own right. Fastest shark in the ocean. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You ever watch any documentaries on them? They would go out with speedboats and they would sit and record. And they were doing it they were doing upwards of, I believe it was 40 to 45 knots, which is roughly translates to like 40, 45 mile an hour. And with a camera with bait off the back, and these short fins were coming up and swimming with it and just nailing and swiping it whenever they wanted to. Very fast animals. Yeah. Which is also why they have the adaptation of their teeth. The teeth are made to grab and pull like that, fast strikes, as opposed to grabbing and taking big chunks out of things. So yeah, interesting. All right. Well, boys and girls, I think we picked a pretty good kind of stopping point tonight, hitting on a little bit of Peter Benchley's background, a little bit of Peter Benchley's movies and novels, and hitting on a little bit of his conservation life after Jaws, along with some of our own insight and connections, some good comments and some points on the board tonight, even though we weren't doing trivia. And I think we hit a good stopping point that we can kind of pick up next week with round 2, where we actually get to talk to a Benchley next week. I am incredibly excited for that opportunity, and cannot wait to talk to her. So I want to thank you guys for joining and hanging out with us tonight, and thank you for the comments. And as always, we love the activity. So please, you guys, feel free to get on there and shoot comments. We do try and bring them in, especially when they're kind of in the conversation. Don't see them all, but we definitely try and include you guys and love the interaction that we get. So thank you very much. And as we always do, as is the style, we're going to do a little fins up before we head out here tonight. Oh, nice. There you go. All right. So there you go. We'll be the fin for the pillow there. And we're going to do that. I want to thank you guys for coming on. And as is the tradition, we're going to let Quint take us out tonight.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Cheers.